Welcome back to Classic Firearms. I'm Brandon, and this is the Smith & Wesson FPC. It is a foldable 9mm PCC that has a lot of goodies that come with it. This bag is one of those things. We're gonna save that for later. However, we'll go ahead and jump right into the PCC, but first we're gonna tell you what the tech specs are, kind of every detail about it after that. So go tip to butt, tell you all those details, and then we're gonna verify some of those tech specs, such as weight, how long it is folded and unfolded, and then also what the trigger pull is like. Now, let's go ahead and dive into those tech specs. Let's grab the gun, bring it over here, and start talking about that. Okay, so first thing is, your width is 2.5 inches. So to me, that looks about right. The thing is pretty wide. It's got a knuckle right here. So we'll talk about that in a little bit and what that does. Your overall length is just a little bit over 30 inches, 30.4 inches to be exact. And then your overall height is 8 inches. Now what I'm curious about is that with the 17 round mag or is it with the 22 round mag? Because you do get two 22 round magazines and one 17 rounder in the box. Of course, this is chambered in 9mm. Your barrel length is 16.25 inches. It is a blowback design, and I lied, that's actually 23 rounds, not 22 rounds in these two magazines. You do have a crossbolt safety right here, just in front of the trigger guard. And finally, it is just a little over 80 ounces, which comes out to what, a little over 5 pounds as far as weight goes. It's actually 80.42 ounces, just for your reference. Now, let's go tip to butt and talk about the gun. Up front, you do have a threaded barrel, which is 1/2 by 28 thread pitch, which is nice. You do get a thread protector on with that. And yes, I understand that my hand sometimes does go in front of the barrel. We have, in fact, cleared the gun before we ever done a video, and I'm just gonna show that to you real quick, so that way you are also aware that we do actually check these barrels before we ever film a video. Put the 22 round mag in there because it just looks better in my opinion. Cooler, I guess you would say. You do have a Picatinny rail right up top. So continuing beyond that 16-inch barrel, that Picatinny rail does run the full length of the first half of the gun. So I would say, what, 14 inches of Picatinny, which is, you're gonna be able to mount any of your optics, or if you want to put any lasers or lights on there, you're gonna be able to do that pretty easily. You have M-lock slots on the bottom and the sides. Again, anything you're gonna want to mount M-lock wise, you're also gonna have plenty of options here, plenty of slots for that. Now, as we head on back to the knuckle portion of the rifle, you can see this is kind of the piece de resistance. This is the money maker, or where everything really happens. You have a hinge, which actually folds up this way, what I'll show you in just a second, and you have a button on the other side, which is fairly large, that's also on a hinge. So you push this button right here. Let me show you that a little bit better. Right there, you can see that button pushes and it releases the front of the barrel. Very much so similar to a Kel-Tec Sub 2000. To be honest, in a lot of ways, this does feel a lot like a Kel-Tec Sub 2000. But moving on, we do also have it flip all the way over. It does not rotate in any other way, so your Picatinny is always facing up. That means you can always keep your optics on there. I know the Sub 2000 fixed that on the new ones, however, this is a much simpler way to do it. The only downside to that is you do kind of feel like you're flagging anybody to your right. I'm sorry, your left, but you can't shoot, so you're not. It's weird. You know what I'm talking about. When it's folded, you're really looking at about 16.25, 16.3 inches in total length, and I'm just doing that because that's the length of the barrel, and that's really the length of the gun. So in reality, that is super portable, easy to put into a backpack, which is quite nice. Okay, I've talked that to death. Let's go ahead and move on. Now, when you're actually using this thing, it is locked in right here, and then it flicks out super smooth and easy. Doing that for camera purposes is a little bit difficult, trying to slow it down and then speed it up. But in reality, it looks like this. You just flick it out and you're good to go, right on target. Quite nice. As we head on back, so this portion's all polymer as well as the hand guard. Just wanted to make sure to notate that. So we're gonna go ahead and move down to that trigger just a little bit here. Take it off a safe. As you all know, it's clear. That's the second time I showed it in the video, but you never can be too safe. You do have a trigger shoe, so it's very similar trigger to most other Smith & Wesson pistols that you might find out there. So you push that, you depress that down, and of course, you then have to also depress the trigger. So there's a decent bit of travel that you feel. You hit a very solid wall, and I'm gonna let you listen to that because it is very solid. Like you can audibly hear it. And then you pull straight through, boom. Feels like once you get to that point, it probably is right around a 4 to 5 pound trigger. Overall, it feels good. The reset on it is as follows. little bit of movement. There it is. And you heard it pretty well, and then you are actually right on that. I don't know if you saw that. I'm pressing now on that trigger. It is right there on that reset, so you can get really quick follow-up shots. Reset, bang, there you go. Very little movement on the reset. Overall, a very nice trigger. We'll measure that in a second. And we'll head a little bit farther down from that polymer trigger guard. You do have your mag release. Now, one thing that Smith is really good at is creating very ergonomic grips, so that actual grippy portion on there, the texturing, is very, well, aggressive. It's not super aggressive to where it's going to cut up your hands, but it's aggressive enough to where you get a good grip on it even when you're sweating, so that way you can put, of course, more rounds down range easier. The mag release has the same texturing on it, so it's also not really all that raised off of the gun, so it's not gonna accidentally bump, or it's not too extended to where if you set it down on the table, it's gonna release that mag release. So, always nice. Your 23 round mag pops out just like so, and each of these 23 round mags has a little collar on them. You can see that right there. That does let it sit flush within that mag well. As you can see, this does allow a little bit more of a pinky placement. Most people love that. I do as well. Now, fun fact, these are interchangeable. So you can take your 17 round mag, which does stick out just a little bit right out of the box. You can put, of course, that collar on there, and that will rectify that issue. So you take that off, put that on here. And now, as you can see, it rectifies that issue. So very nice and very thoughtful of them to give you that extra collar on each of these mags. Now we'll head on back to the charging handle. That charging handle kind of reminds me of a Stingray a bit. We do have like I said, a Stingray kind of design. You pull it back, of course it locks. You do have your mag releases up here. But overall, that is also the piece that locks in the handguard to the actual gun itself. When you have it charged back and ready to go, you actually cannot lock it into place. It's just kind of free floating. Versus if I release that, and now it will lock into place, nice and solid. So allowing you, of course, to pop it out and go. Now let's move on to the final topic here. So obviously this buffer tube portion here is made out of metal because that's where it's a blowout back action, and that's where all of that is going to happen. Now the stock itself is quite nice. You do have a little bit of a mag caddy here. That does hold two separate magazines. These magazines go in upside down into the hole. You press the lever on the bottom, it releases the left side. You press the other side, and of course it goes to the right side. And that is how you release those. And the final notes to that, so it is a fairly large stock, which means it is easy to get onto your shoulder and really press it in good. It does have a QD sling mount on the back. And then, of course, a butt pad as well. So let's go ahead and verify some of this information at the very end. We'll talk about what actually comes in the box, because that's also very interesting. First things first, let's go ahead and do that trigger pull. Waiting for it to boot up. Perfect. We are ready to go. So let's get rid of that mag. Go ahead and give you guys a trigger pull. I'm going to brace it with my hand, and we're going to go in 3, 2, 3.99 pounds. That's pretty close to what I thought, although that does feel a little bit on the light side. These triggers are fairly light. In 3, 2, 4.46. That is very close to what I was thinking, and is very close to what it actually feels like too. We'll do one more test just to kind of get an average here. In 3, 2, 3.84. Perfect. So yeah, right around that 4 to 5 pound, heck, 3 to 4 pound mark, actually more like it. Is what that is. Let's go ahead and grab the measuring tape, and I'll be right back. Okay, got the measuring tape. Let's go ahead and see exactly how long this thing is, and I'll show you guys as well. If you recall, they said on the website about 30 inches, like 30.4, and let's take a look. Yeah, roughly 30.4 inches, and hopefully get a good zoom, and we can actually see that really well. Let me move that over for you. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's go ahead and see how tall she is. On my side here, I don't know where they get the 8 inches from. It has to be with the other mag, because this is 6.5 inches tall here. So let me give you a good idea. Right here appears to be the tallest portion. Right there, about 6.5. But I'm gonna go ahead and take that mag out, throw it in the gun, and we're gonna see exactly how tall it is with this mag, because I think that is probably where they're getting their measurement. Now it's angled up, so I'm just going to measure from the mag to here. That just makes the most sense. Start off showing me still not even 8 inches, so right here at the knuckle then is probably where you're going to get that 8 inches tall. If I set it flat, at least a little bit level, yeah, you can kind of see it a little bit there. Cool. Now, one final thing, let's see exactly how long it is when it is folded, because I get the feeling this is going to be right around that 16-inch mark. Let's go ahead, get out a bunch of measuring tape. I'm going to show myself first, and I'll show you guys. Let's see. Pretty much exactly as anticipated there. Pull it right up to that barrel. And if you can get a good zoom in on that portion right over here, that is going to be right around that 16 inches, which is what you would expect. Now, we're going to go ahead and move on to the final piece, and that's going to be weighing it. Okay, scale is on the table. Let's go ahead and see exactly what we're looking at. Actually, let's go ahead and move this to the center just a little bit more for you. Are we zeroed? We are. Perfect. So without the magazines, let's go ahead and remove all of the mags, because there's a ton. All 3 of them. You are looking at, let's see, like right at 5 pounds. That is kind of crazy. I did not expect it to be almost exactly 5 pounds. When you, of course, now have all the mags in the gun with unloaded, of course, you're looking at adding on another 0.75 of a pound. Of course, you add ammo into that, it's going to be a little over 6 pounds. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and show you what you get in the case, because the case is a pretty big selling point, in my opinion. Let's go ahead and remove this from the table. I'll be right back. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about that case. So the case does come with pockets installed and, of course, a place for your gun. So I'm going to fold it and kind of show you what that looks like with one singular strap, just because I don't want to take up all of your time looking at me trying to put it in the case, but it sits in there nice and flush, which is always good. Now, you're also going to get 4 pockets. You can put mags in there, and they do have some accessories in there that the gun also comes with. So you do have removable back straps. So if you've ever used a Smith & Wesson pistol, you know they come with adjustable back straps, some with a little bit more of a neck on it. Just depends on your personal preference. Now, they also give you a sling for the bag. This is not for the gun, although I'm sure you can probably rig it up. It's not made for the gun. It matches the bag, and that's exactly how it's meant to be used. There is no branding on this case as well, so it doesn't necessarily look like a firearms case. Albeit long and rectangular, it does kind of look more gym bag-like in a way, especially if you put the strap on there, making it very similar to a duffel bag. So that's all I have for you guys today. If you have any experiences with the Smith & Wesson FPC, please leave a review down below. We would love to see your comments. I know I will be down there trying to answer as many of those questions as possible, as well as any customer service team that happens to see this video, as well as our own. That's all I got for you guys today. God bless, stay safe. Now, I'm gonna go shoot this thing.